Watching Kemi Adetibas to kill a monkey left me deeply shaken for days. The story resonated so powerfully because it reflected my own journey through some of the darkest chapters of my life. In 2016, I experienced what seemed like a breakthrough moment. Selected as one of the 49 participants from over 8,000 applicants for a fully funded 7 weeks US government sponsored trip, I felt destined for greatness. The sacrifice was significant, however, because I left my 8 months old daughter, my first child, but I returned to Nigeria energized and ready to make impact. What I had not factored into my plan was pregnancy. I conceived my son 3 or 4 days after I returned home. Your guess is as good as mine. The pregnancy brought its own challenges, no doubt, compounded by my popular radio show being moved to a much later time slot under unclear circumstances. The change from ending at 10 p.m. to closing at 2 a.m. devastated my listeners, and maintaining the demanding schedule was just too much for me to handle. So, 3 months into my pregnancy, I resigned. Meanwhile, my husband faced his own crisis at work. He had refused to compromise in certain areas, and his boss was out to punish him for being a church boy. Meanwhile, God had told my husband earlier that his time there was up, but fear kept him in that place. When things finally became unbearable, I encouraged him to obey that calling. His timing proved providential because 4 months after his resignation, the company experienced major challenges. Working conditions grew worse. They could hardly pay salaries, and some of his colleagues were let go. So we launched a business using our savings, driven more by logic than divine direction. 1 month before our son's arrival, we were defrauded of everything. Our bank account held less than 10,000 naira. Yet, God miraculously provided for the hospital bills and delivery and everything that we needed. We started another business, but the income was nowhere near what we needed because I didn't lactate. I had just begun working with a friend, promising that pregnancy won't affect my performance. He didn't know my due date, so he agreed. I delivered on a Sunday morning, but was back to work on Wednesday, driven by sheer desperation. We had nothing, and I couldn't risk losing this opportunity. This decision cost me dearly. Oh. The stress and lack of resting dislocated my hip, an injury that affects me up until this day because I can only sleep on one side of the bed of my body, so I sleep only on one side. Unable to breastfeed, we somehow managed to buy formula 3 times per week. Another testimony of what God did for us, which deserves its own telling. People will often ask what my husband was doing in that time, but like Efe in that movie, the full story will require more time that we don't have. But understand this, he sacrificed for his family in ways that weren't always visible. Income doesn't always reflect effort or sacrifice. In retrospect, I see the wisdom. If he had broken down, we would have all collapsed because, we were all depending on his strength to get by. And he would cry in secret, unable to let us see his vulnerability. For years, we struggled, despite multiple jobs, hustling restlessly. My friends know me. Nothing seemed to add up. So I reached out to one of my wealthy friends for help. His proposition was ridiculous. He said, just show me your breast and I'll give you 1 million naira. Notice, on this day, there was no food in the house. Not for my 4-year-old or my 2-year-old. And he compared me to Cardi B. In fact, these were his exact words. He said Cardi B was in Lagos a while back, and she had her breast all over the place. It's your own special. I'm not even asking to touch. I just want to see. When I refused, he gave me 40,000 naira check and called me stubborn and told me that I should come back when I'm ready. I wept bitterly that day. I asked God many questions. Anyways, as the story goes, just days later, someone approached me after church service and handed me a check of 400,000 naira, explaining that God had instructed her and her family to give that money to us. This is why that movie transcends entertainment for me. It was a mirror reflecting my own experiences. The story taught many lessons, but this is one that stands out for married couple. Never compare your sacrifices in the home. Whether you're the primary breadwinner, the one who stays at home with the children, handling most of the house duties, Don't assume that your sacrifice is greater than your partner's. Men and women suffer differently. In many homes, women receive praises for carrying heavy load, but the man's buried struggles often go unrecognized. The things he has to sacrifice to keep the family afloat. Like in that movie, Nosan will never understand what Ife gave up. All she knows is she was carrying herself as the Alpha and the Omega and all the sacrifices that she has made for the family without fully grasping Ife's hidden battles. I say this to say that today is my birthday and I'm reflecting on the journey so far. In 2020, God instructed me to change my name back from Vanessa to Jane, my birth giving name, which means Jehovah has been gracious. Today, that name reads like a prophecy fulfilled over my life. As I celebrate my birthday today, I invite you to join me in giving thanks to God for His grace, His strength, His provision, and for all the many people He used to carry us through this fire. Every testimony of survival is ultimately a testimony of God's faithfulness. Happy birthday to me.